guys, the topic that we are going to cover in this particular session is basically polynomials and then linear equation in two variables and coordinate geometry. And also if we go inside these topics, basically that I'm going to cover is factorization, okay, and mainly linear equation and two variables. If you see this coordinate geometry and this chapter together have numerous applications. Okay, so we will study a little higher concepts, higher level concepts in these two topics, because these two topics, as you go in your next grade, that is class 10 and then 11 and then 12, you will always be carrying these concepts, right? This will be there till you give your 11 and 12 and also IIT JEE, right? So you need to have a very strong base in these two. Yeah, this is also important. Algebra is, no doubt it is important, but algebra slowly, gradually you will be increasing your concepts here, but this has a direct application. Okay, for example, linear equation and two variables. And linear equation in two variables can also be told as this is one of the topic of algebra. Of course, this is algebra, but then this application we can drive towards geometry. Okay, so that means what I'm trying to say, this polynomials, this linear equation, etc., these are nothing but algebraic equations, right? So polynomials is nothing but algebraic equations, and these algebraic equations, if you try to plot the graph, you will get some shapes. For example, if you draw the linear equation, you will get a straight line. If you do quadratic equation, you will get some shape, right? So let's talk about those shapes. For example, say parabola, right? So hope you know that. Even if you don't know, that's fine. So basically we will start. So let's start with polynomials, and slowly after we complete polynomials, then I will take up these two topics. And I am sure that you are going to enjoy this session, right? So let's start. So let's understand what is polynomials. So polynomials are basically algebraic equations, or expressions. And for example, let us say there can be more than one variable, right? So if we have one variable, how will the polynomial look like? So this is an example of degree 1 polynomial. So you should also have the concept of degree. And this is a polynomial of degree 2, which is also known as quadratic equation. And then this is known as cubic polynomial, and similarly this is biquadratic, right? And so on, we can increase the degree of these terms, right? So these are all examples of single variable. Similarly, we can have polynomials of multiple variables. So why we are studying this, or what is the importance, or what are the concepts that you need to master, right, in this topic? So basically, you see, the concept that you need to learn is degree of a polynomial. So you need to have a clear-cut understanding what is the degree of polynomial. Now here, when you have single variable, it's very easy to find out what is the degree. For example, what is the highest power of the variable that is here? That is 1. Here, what is the highest power? 2. So here the degree is 2. Here the highest power is cube, right? That is degree is 3. Similarly here degree is 4. So it's simple. Now suppose I give you multiple variables. So when you have multiple variables, you need to learn how to find out the degree. So I hope you will know that. So here I'm not going to discuss that. Directly I will be going for the numerical sessions, right? So basically you need to have a very good idea of how to find out the degree of a polynomial. Then second thing is zero of a polynomial. Now what is zero of a polynomial? Let us understand for single variable. Suppose zero of this means the value of the variable for which the polynomial will become 0. For example, let us take this. Now if I equate it to 0, so what will be the value of x so that this polynomial becomes 0? So I can easily solve this. I can say if x is equal to -5, and if I put this -5 here, this -5 and +5 will cancel each other, and I will have a 0. The value of this polynomial will become 0. That means this is the 0 of this polynomial. So degree 1 is very simple. Now coming to degree 2, these are known as quadratic equation. Now how do you solve this? Right? So there are different techniques that we will learn to do this, and cubic and biquadratic. So let's see what are the techniques. So to find out the zeros, we can do factorization for higher orders. For example, say, let's talk about quadratic polynomials. So in quadratic polynomials, the technique that we can use is splitting the middle term, right? So we will discuss and solve numericals of this concept where we will learn how to split the middle term, right? Second is completing the squares, right? This technique we are not going to learn now, but in next class, that is when you go to class 10, you will be learning this technique also, how to solve a quadratic equation or to find the factors or find the zeros of quadratic equation by completing the square method, right? So, and then when we increase the degree, that is cubic and higher order polynomials, we can use factor theorem, division algorithm, and algebraic identities to find the factors. So we will be using or we will be solving numericals for these concepts also. So let us take the first concept, that is splitting the middle term, right? So let's start. So guys, splitting the middle term means I need to split this term. Now I am not proving this, okay? There is a proof for this which shows that why exactly and how exactly you can split the middle term. But the proof I will be doing later in my course. So for now, let me just show you how to do this, okay? So now, this is 15 and this is 2. So for example, let's take this constant term. So what is 15? How can I write 15? So 15 can be written as 5 into 3, right? And how can I write this term 2? 2 can be written as 2 into 1. Now, with these terms, I need minus 7 or 7, let us say. So let me see if I can get 7 from these terms. So now I need to cross multiply. This is the technique. Yeah, I need to cross multiply. So if I cross multiply this, I will get 5, and with this 3 2s are 6. Now 6 and 5. How can I add or subtract this so that I get 7? I cannot. If I add, I will get 11. If I subtract, I will get plus or minus 1. So this is perhaps not the right way of doing it. So let me go to the next way. Next way can be 5 into 3. I'm not changing this. And 2 I can write it as 1 into 2. So I've just changed the position. Now in this case, if I cross multiply, I will get 5 into 2, that is 10, and 1 into 3, that is 3. So now 10 minus 3, I can get 7. So now I got to know what I can do or how I can split this particular middle term, that is 7. So now what will I do? I will write 2x square, and this minus 7, I can write it as minus 10 plus 3. So let me write it as minus 10x plus 3x minus 15, and let me say this is equal to 0, right? So now let me take 2x common here. So if I take 2x common here, I get x minus 5. Similarly here, let me take 3 common. So if I take 3 common, I get x minus 5 is equal to 0, right? Now from these two terms, I can take x minus 5 common. So let me take x minus 5 common here, and I will get 2x plus 3 equal to 0. So I have factorized this quadratic equation by this technique, right? Now once I have factorized it, now I can equate these to 0, right? So from here I can write x minus 5 is equal to 0 and 2x plus 3 equal to 0, that is x is equal to 5 and x is equal to minus 3 by 2. So these are my zeros of this quadratic equation. That means if I put x is equal to 5 here, I will get 0. Or if I put x is equal to minus 3 by 2 here, I should get 0. Right? So let's take a next question and let's see if we can apply this. Now you see, these types of questions, you have something in the denominator, right? So let's simplify this before we solve it. So if I take 1 by 12 common, what will happen? So I can say this is 24x square minus, I can say this is 5, and if I put it 12 here, that means I have to multiply with 2. So this becomes 10x plus 1, right? So I have taken out 1 by 12. Now this becomes a simpler equation. Now what did we learn here? We will take the first term 24 and we will take the constant term 1 and try to split this into two factors. So I can write this as 6 into 4 is 24, and here 1 is nothing but 1 into 1. Now let me cross multiply. So I will get 6 and here I will get 4, and I know if I add them I will get 10. So my job is done. So what I can do here is 24x squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 1, and this I can write it as 24. So let me take 6x common. So if I take 6x common, I will get 4x minus 1, and here let me take minus 1 common, so I will get 4x minus 1. Now from these two, what can I get? I will get 4x minus 1 and 6x minus 1. Now if I equate this to 0, this to 0 and this to 0, what will happen? I will say 1 by 12 is never 0. So that means either this is 0 or this is 0 or both of them are 0. So that means 4x minus 1 is equal to 0 or x is equal to 1 by 4. Similarly here x is equal to 1 by 6. So these are my zeros, right? So with the help of factorization we can find out the zeros. So that's why we factorize. So hope you got it. Now let me go to the next one. Now let me see if you can do this. Take your time and solve it. Yeah, solve it. So basically what did we learn? We will take this term and this term. So we have 7 root 2 and we have 4 root 2. Now how will you split this two so that by cross multiplication you can find out a combination so that you get minus 10. That's the technique, right? So we know that root 2 is irrational, and here in the middle term we don't have irrational thing. See, this is an integer, whereas this is irrational. This is irrational. So that means we have to do something. We have to cross multiply it in such a way so that this irrational number goes off. That means it's very simple. So either I can write it in this way, 7 root 2, okay, into 1, okay. And now what I have done is, now I know that if I multiply 7 root 2 with root 2, this root 2 will cancel out, root 2, I mean not cancel out, so that means root 2 square will become 2. So I will use this knowledge and I will simply, what I will do is, I will write root 2 this side and 4 this side. Now let me see what do I get. So 7 root 2 into root 2 will give me 7 into 2, that is 14, and this 4 into 1 will give me 4. So now 14 minus 4 will give me 10. So now 7 root 2x square minus 14x plus 4x minus 4 root 2. Simple. Now if I take 7 root 2x common, what will I get? I will get x minus 2. Right? That's what I will get. And here, if I take 4 common, okay, here I will get root 2. And here if I take 4 common, I will get x minus root 2, right? Okay. And let's say this is equal to 0 so that I can find out the zeros of this. So now I will take x minus root 2 here and 7 root 2x plus 4, right? That is equal to 0. So I got my two zeros, that is x is equal to root 2 and x is equal to minus 4 by 7 root 2, right? You can simplify this or you can leave it as it is. So these are the two zeros, right? So done. So by using this little bit logic you have to put here how to split these terms so that you get two combinations which can give you this. So you need to do some hit and trial method here, and after some practice you can easily find out how to write this so that you get it. Because see, 4 root 2 can be written as 4 root 2 into 1, or I can write this as 2 into 2 root 2, or I can write it as 2 root 2 or into root 2, into 2. So in this way I can have many patterns, right? Now with practice and with experience you will understand which pattern to take. But do not take 3 terms. For example, someone might think that I can write 4 root 2 as 2 into root 2. You don't have to take 3 terms because you just need to cross multiply. So you have to divide these. This is C, right? This is A and this is C. That means this is your C and this is your A, right? Constant. So you have to break it into 2 parts. That's it. Now, what will be the value of the 2 parts? That is what you will gain or you will learn with experience and practice. And hope you find this interesting, right? So now let me go to the next topic. Next thing is we will use factor theorem, reminder theorem and division algorithm and find out the factors of a higher degree, right? For example, say this is a polynomial of degree 3, that is a cubic polynomial. Now how do I factorize this, right? Now before I go to that, this is a question. Let me see what is this question. This says show that x minus 3 is a factor of this polynomial. Right? So how do we do this? Now first of all, what is remainder theorem? Now remainder theorem says that if I have a polynomial and if this is the divisor, then if I put, suppose x minus 3 is the divisor. So if I equate it to 0, what do I get? I get x is equal to 3. Now if I put this value here, I will get the remainder. So for example, what is the remainder? Suppose this is my p of x. So this is my p of x. So p of x, I can write it as x cube minus 3x square minus 4x plus 12. Now, if I put this value, that means I am checking whether this is a factor or not. So for that, I am checking what's the remainder. So let me put this value here. So if I put this value here, what will I get? 3 cube minus 3x, that means x square means 3 square. 3 into 3 square minus 4 into 3 plus 12. What do I get? Now this is 27, this is also 27 and this will get cancelled, and this is minus 12 and this is plus 12. This will also get cancelled and ultimately I will get 0. Now the moment I get 0, that means if I try to divide x cube minus 3x square minus 4x plus 12 with this as divisor, x minus 3 as divisor, I will get some value here and I will do the long division method and ultimately the remainder will be 0. Okay, so this is the most important part. So if the remainder is 0, that means what does it say? That means x minus 3 is a factor of this polynomial. This is very important. So this concept is what you learned. So now factor theorem says if p of 3 is equal to 0, then x is equal to 3 is the 0 of the polynomial, of p of x, and x minus 3 is a factor of p of x. So these are the connections. That means if this, then this, then this. So hope you understand this connection. Now, so this is proved, right? Now let's go to the next question. Next question says, find the other factors of the polynomial. Now, you see this is cubic polynomial. So cubic polynomials means you will have 3 zeros or 3 factors. So 1 you got it. So x minus 3 is 1 factor. How do you find the other 2 factors? So if they ask you to find out the other 2 factors, you need to divide it. That means you have to go for long division method. Even if we know what is the remainder, we have to divide it. So let us divide it. So what will you get here? So here you will get x square, right? So you need to learn little bit of long division for this, right? So hope you know the long division. So let me quickly do the long division here. 3x square, right? So now if I subtract this, what do I multiply so that I can cancel out this term? So I will multiply this with -4. So if I multiply this with -4, I get -4x and -3 into x square minus 4, and the remainder is 0, so I don't have to write anything. Now if I want to find the zeros of this or the factors of this, that means this is equal to 0, so I will easily get it from here. So I already know this is one of the factor. Right now, what is this? If I can factorize this term, my job is done. So that means x square minus 4. Now here identity will be used, right? So identity, can you write this as a square minus b square? Yes, of course. So I can write this as x square minus 2 square. And now using the identity a square minus b square, I can write this is equal to a minus b into a plus b. That means x minus 2 into x plus 2. Now if I equate this equal to 0, what will happen? That means x square minus 4 equal to 0. So I can write x minus 2 into x plus 2 equal to 0. So from here I will get x is equal to 2 and minus 2. So that means what are the total zeros? So 1 0 I already got it. That is x is equal to 3. The others are 2 and minus 2. So these are the 3 zeros of this particular polynomial. And these are the factors. Right? So this one and this one and this one, these three are the factors of this particular. So this is clear to you and hope you understood the relationship. Now they can increase the aptitude level of these questions. That means the toughness of this question can be increased, or aptitude level. So for example, say they will tell you that this is a polynomial x cube minus ax square minus 13x plus b. So here you have two variables, that is unknowns, two unknowns. You have two unknowns, a and b. I will not say variable, so I will say unknown. So now a and b are the unknowns. How do you find out the unknowns? Now to find out the unknowns, you need two conditions. Now they have given you two conditions. One condition is they have said x minus 1 is a factor of this polynomial, and second condition is x plus 3 is a polynomial of this. Now using this, you can say if this guy is a factor of this polynomial, that means what? They have said that x minus 1 is a factor of this. That means if I equate to 0, I get x is equal to 1. That means if this is p of x, let me say this is p of x. So then p of 1 should be equal to 0. That means what? Let me put the value 1 here. So it will 1 cube is 1 minus a into 1 square is 1 minus 13 into 1, that is 1, and plus b should be equal to 0. Right? So what I have done is I have just put in place of x, I have put 1, and this is what I get. So from here, what do I get? I get this is b minus a minus 12 equal to 0. So let us say this is my condition 1 or equation 1. Similarly, they also told that x plus 3 is a factor. So if x plus 3 is a factor, what did we learn? If I equate to 0, then x is equal to minus 3 is a 0 of this. That means if I put x as minus 3, I should get the value as 0. So let me put minus 3 here. So minus 3 whole cube minus a into minus 3 whole square minus 13 into minus 3 plus b is equal to 0. So now what will I get here? This is 9, 9 is 27. So minus 27 here. And here this is 3 is a 9. So minus 9a. And here which is a 9 and minus 39 and plus 39. Because minus 13 and minus 3. And here plus b is equal to 0. So now what do you get from this? You get b minus 9a and 39 and minus 27. If I subtract this, I will get 2 here, 1 and 12 here, right? So this is plus 12 equal to 0. Now you have two equations, this and this. Now from these two equations, you can easily solve them. Once you solve them, you can find out the value of a and value of b. So these types of questions also they can give, right? So hope you understood how to solve these types of questions. Now let me go to the different types of questions. Now this is synthetic division. That means they can ask you these types of questions also, right? What is this? They're saying without actual division, prove that this particular polynomial is exactly divisible by this. Let us say this is g of x and let us say this is p of x. So that means what are they saying is exactly divisible. What do you mean by exactly divisible? That means when I divide p of x by g of x, then the remainder should be equal to 0. This is what exactly they want to say. Now we have learned to find out the remainder if we have linear divisor. But see, this is non-linear divisor. That means here the degree is 2. Earlier what have you learned? Here if you have a linear divisor or if you have a linear factor, you can easily find out the value. By putting x is equal to 1 here, you can get the value. But how will you do this? Because here you don't know what is the value of x. So this is degree 2. That means you will have two values here. Now that means what are they actually asking is, suppose I ask you in this way. Is 12 exactly divisible by 6? So I'm just giving an example. So you can give this, you can say this, that say 12 is divisible by 2. Yes, 12 is divisible by 2. Is 12 divisible by 3? Yes, 12 is divisible by 3. So if 12 is divisible by 2 and 12 is divisible by 3, then I can write this 12 by 6 as 2 into 3. So if 12 is divisible by 2, if 12 is divisible by 3, then 12 should be divisible by 6. So this concept we can use. That means what I'm exactly trying to say is, if I can write or I can factorize this g of x, right? This is degree 2. So I will get two factors here, right? Now if px is divisible by this factor and if px is divisible by this factor, both the factor, then px should be divisible by both of them multiplied together. That means g of x, right? Hope you understood this concept. Now you see, so what is the first thing that we need to do? You need to factorize g of x. So g of x is nothing but x square minus 3x plus 2. Again we can do the same thing. How to factorize this? This is very simple. But you see, let me try to apply this and check whether you can apply that cross multiply thing which you have learned, right? So this is fun. You try to see that. So 2 can be written as 2 into 1 and we need minus 3 here. That means we need to add, and here we have 1 here, right? So 1 can be written as 1 into 1, very simple. Now 2 into 1 is 2 and 1 into 1 is 3, and if we add 2 and 1 we get minus 3. So you can write this as x square minus 2x minus x plus 2, right? Now here we can take x minus 2 common, and then we have minus 1 common here, and we will get x minus 1, right? So this is how we can do this. Now let us check for this, right? So for x is equal to 2, so we need to check for x is equal to 2 and for x is equal to 1. If for both of this p of x becomes 0, that means p of x is divisible by this and this, then it should be divisible by g of x. So p of 2 we will check first. So p of 2 means 2 into 2 to the power 4 minus 5 into 2 to the power cube plus 2 into 2 to the power square minus 2 plus 2. So first of all, these two got cancelled, and here what do we have? 2 to the 4, 2 to the 4 and 4 to the 8, 8 5s are 40. So, and here what we will have, 2 to the 4, 4 to the 8, 8 to the 16, and okay, so 32 and this. So of course you'll get a 0 here. You can check it, right, and put this value and check what will be the value of this. Put it as 1, that means you will get 2 and minus 5 plus 2 minus 1 and plus 2. So this is 2 plus 2 plus 2, that is 6, and minus 5 and minus 1 minus 6, that is equal to 0. So in this way we can say, okay, this is divisible by this, yani this is a factor or ye bhi ek factor hai, yeah, right? Both of them are factor. So that means g of x should be factor. Okay, fine. So in these types of questions you can solve it. Next, let me see what else is there. Now Next topic is algebraic identities. Now, why do you need to learn these algebraic identities? Just to find out the factors easily for higher degree polynomials. That's the reason, nothing else. So, for example, here, the important ones, if you see this one, that is x cube plus y cube, you should know how can you expand this, right? Again, x cube plus y cube plus z cube minus 3xyz can be written as x plus y plus z into x squared plus y squared plus z squared minus x5 minus yz minus z. So these are the few of the things which you should remember. So if you remember these identities, you can easily solve these types of problems. For example, let's say what type of problems may come. Now they may ask you questions like, they will give this and they will ask you, please factorize this. And why do they want to factorize? So that they can find out the zeros of this particular polynomial. So they will ask you to factorize this. How do you factorize this? Now, the moment you see cubic and these types of equations, first thing that you should do is try to see if you can relate this with any of the identities. That is the first thing that you should do. So how do you relate this with identities? Now, how does it look like? You can see that you have three variables here, x cube, y cube and z cube. So we will try to use, of course, this one. So now we will use this, that is x cube. So 8x, how can I write this 8x? I can write this as 2x whole cube. And this I can write it as 3y whole cube plus z cube. And this minus 18, let me see if I can write it as minus 3 into 2x into 3y into z. Let me see what is the value. This is 3 2s are 6 and 6 3s are 18. So perfectly we got it, right? So now this can be written as like a cube plus b cube plus c cube minus thrice abc. And if this is what we got, what will be the factorize or what will be the factors? It will be a plus b plus c, and this will be a square plus b square plus c square minus ab minus bc minus ca. This is what we have learned here, right? So x in place of xyz I have just taken abc so that you don't confuse between this numerical and this identity, right? So this is how you can put the, now you know a is 2 of x, b is 3 of y, c is your z. So now we just put these values here and you get the factors. So in this way you can factorize this by the help of identities. Similarly, this question. Now it seems like a little bit of difficult, but it's not actually difficult because you see same identity can be used in this one also. How? First of all, I know that 2 root 2. 2 root 2 can be written as root 2 cube. We can write it. And similarly 3 root 3 can be written as root 3 cube. So, and here you have 5 root 5. So now if I break it down, I can write this as root 2x whole cube plus root 3y whole cube. And this root 5, I can write it as, if I multiply this, I'm going to get 5 root 5. So I can write this as root 5 whole cube. And here I will get minus 3 into root 6 into root 5 xy. What do I do to this term? I can write it as minus 3 into root 3y into root 2x into root 5. Right? So I can write this term in this way. So now it becomes, again I can apply this same identity here, and in place of ABC, now I have this as A and this as B and this as C. Just put the values, find the factors. Simple. Now this one is also very important. So you can have something like this. So say this is X and this is Y and this is Z, right? So it seems like something like X cube plus Y cube plus Z cube. Now how do you factorize this? That means you don't have the term. What is missing from here? You don't have X, Y, Z term. Okay. But you might be thinking, what happened to this term, or how can I find? So let me see which one can I use, right? Okay, or let me derive it here. We know this x, y, z, and this is equal to x plus y plus z, right? Into x square plus y square plus z square minus xy minus yz minus zx, right? Now suppose x plus y plus z is equal to 0. Then what? If this is equal to 0, this complete thing will become equal to 0. That means this equation will become equal to 0. Now if this equation becomes equal to 0, so I can write x cube plus y cube plus z cube is equal to 3xyz. Now this is a very, very important identity if this is equal to 0. Understood? So if x plus y plus z is equal to 0, then x cube plus y cube plus z cube can be written as 3xyz. So let me apply it here. Let me see what is x. X is a square minus b square. What is y? Let us say b square minus c square. And what is z? C square minus a square. Now if I add them, x plus y plus z, what do I get? This will get cancelled with this will get cancelled, this will get cancelled, so ultimately I will get 0, so I can easily apply this. So the answer here will be 3 into x, x is a square minus b square, into b square minus c square, into c square minus a square. You can further factorize it, but or you can leave it in this form, or you can do it a plus b, a minus b, b plus c, b minus c, c plus a, c minus c. Right? So in this way also you can do this. So this is all about factorization, guys, and using identities you can factorize. Right? Now, before I go to the next chapter, there is one more thing, that is hit and trial method. Suppose, let me go to the previous question, suppose this one. Now they might also ask you questions like they will be giving you this polynomial and they may ask you what are the factors. Directly, bluntly they will ask you what are the factors, they will not give you any hint. So if they don't give you any hint, so what you need to do is you need to go for hit and trial methods. Right? So hit and trial method means you need to go for x is equal to plus minus 1, then plus minus 2 and then plus minus 3. Here also some techniques you can use, right? Here also these factors you don't have to blindly check for 1 plus minus 1, then plus minus 2, then plus minus 3 and plus minus 4. There are some techniques that you can use, that is you have to see that this will be a factor of these terms, okay, or this by this term. Right? So for example, this one, right? So you see 2 and 1, right? These are the factors of this. So you see 2 can be written, this 2 can be written as 2 into 1. So you see the factors are 1 and 2. So you just have to see for plus minus 1 and plus minus 2. So what I'm exactly trying to say is, suppose you have a polynomial where the last term is, say you have something like x cube plus something something, and then last term you have 30. So now what are the factors or what are the terms that you will be checking for? Will you check for all the terms like plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus, no. So 30 can be written as, so first of all you need to find the prime factors of this. So what will be this? So 30 can be written as say 15 into 2, and if I do further, I'll get 5 into 3 into 2, right? These are the prime factors. Now you have to take combinations of them. So for example, or into 1. So first of all, you have to check with plus minus 1. So this is done. Then you have to check for plus minus 2. This is done. Then you have to check for plus minus 3. That means this is done. Then you have to check for plus minus 5. So this is done. So you don't have to check for plus minus 4. Then what you need to check for? You can check for combination of them. That means let us say combination of this 2 is 2 itself. Combination of 3 and 2 is 6. So you need to check for plus minus 6. Then you need to check for 5 and 2. That is plus minus 10. And then you need to check for combination of 5 and 3. That is 5 is a 15. That means plus minus 15. And then you need to check for the combination of whole. That means plus minus 30. So these are the, these are the techniques which you can use to find out hit and trial method. But don't worry, in exam you are not going to get a question where you need to go for such a long. You will get your factors somewhere in between here, you'll get your factors at least by 3, right? So hit and trial, I hope you'll not get this, but at least you need to know the concepts that if you don't get the factors at 1, 2 and 3, then are you going to check for all the numbers serially? No, you don't have to check for all the numbers. That means what are the numbers you're not checking? You're not checking for plus minus 4 here. You're not checking for plus minus 7 here. You're not checking for plus minus 8, plus minus 9. So you're not checking for them, right? So this is the technique that you can use. Now let me go to the next chapter. So, and guys, in the course that we are going to design, that the course that I have designed for this, there will be discussing in details and from basics too. Okay. So now let me go to the next topic. Next topic is linear equation in 2 variables. Now this is a very, very important topic, as I have already told you, but in class 9 you are just getting the starting. That means this is just the starting of this, and this is also, the other name for this is also straight line. That means the moment you have these types of equations, you are going to get a straight line if you draw or if you plot them in a graph. So now the equation of straight line, what is the equation of straight lines in 2 variables? That is ax plus by plus c. This is the standard form of the equation of this straight. Now this can have different forms also, right? This can have different forms also. For example, you can have slope form, you can have intercept form. These are very, very important forms, but in class 9 you don't really learn, or you don't have the application of this, but as you go further, you get the application, a wide application of this slope form and intercept form. So in my course, I will be introducing this slope form and intercept form, where you can have a lot of fun. And also the next topic, it is there in your course, is to draw the graph of these linear equations. And as you know that you will of course get a straight line. So the graph of a straight line will have several points. Suppose this is my straight line. So I'll be having several points in this straight line, and each point in the straight line is a solution of this linear equation. And I will have infinite solution of this straight line, because in this straight line I will have infinite points, and all the points in the straight line are the solution of this linear equation. So this is the concept in short. Now, since I already told you this is a basic topic, but the application of this is huge. For example, I'll just give you a hint. 1 straight line, you get this. 2 straight line, you get this. 3 straight line, you get, suppose you have 2 parallel lines and 1 intersection. So you have lines and angles where you learn these types of concept. So this is one application of this. Second application, say you have 1 straight line, the other straight line is not parallel, and the third straight line is also not parallel to either of them, and you get 3 intersecting points, and these 3 straight lines form a triangle. Similarly, if you have 4 straight lines which are not parallel to each other, none of them is parallel, you get a quadrilateral. If 2 of them are parallel and other 2 are not parallel, you get something like trapezoid, right? So in such way you have polygons. You can form polygons with the help of this, right? And ultimately you can form a circle. Now I can say that circle will have infinite straight lines. That means these are all known as tangents in a circle, right? So these types of clarity you will get in this particular class, and this is the level of application that you can go from, starting right from this straight line, right? So this is not going to leave you, right? So even if you go for the preparation of IIT JEE, you will be having straight lines, circles, quadrilaterals, etc. These are very, very important topic, or rather the complete geometry comes here. So this is starting of geometry. Now, with the help of coordinate geometry also, you can solve different types of problems. So here, in the course that I will be taking here, I will be, discussing different types of applications. For example, say you have 2 points, right? First of all, you need to learn what is this coordinate axis, what is the x-axis, what is y-axis, how many quadrants are there. So I can divide it into 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what are the terms like this is positive, x is positive here, y is positive here, and so on. These are the basic informations. I'm not saying this basic informations here. I'm directly going to the applications, having or hoping that you know these basic things. Anyways, if you don't know, we will be discussing the basics in the course. So anyways, let us go to the application so that you have some benefit here. So for example, distance between 2 points. Area of the triangle formed by 3 points. Equation of a straight line passing through 2 points. Perpendicular distance from a point to a straight line. So suppose you have a straight line and you know the equation of this straight line and you have a point, say x and y. What is the perpendicular distance of this? You can find out this. Also find out the centroid of a triangle, and there are numerous applications. So these are the applications that I will be taking in this class today. So let me show you. First one is distance between 2 points. Now suppose there are 2 points which is given to you, and we know that if we have 2 points, we can draw one and only one straight line. That means from given 2 points, only one straight line can pass, right? So that's unique. So now say this is 4, 2, okay? So this point is say 4, 2. That means say this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. This is my minus y-axis and this is my minus x-axis, right? Now these 2 points are given to you, so there will be a straight line which will be crossing through this, right? So there will be a straight line which will be crossing through this, and they're asking what is the distance. First of all, they're asking what is the distance here. That means this distance here, right? So how do you find this? Now this is very simple. So by using Pythagoras, we can find this. So what we will do is, let me say we have a triangle in this way, okay? Okay, done? Now in this triangle, let me take this triangle as, say, let me change the color of this. Okay, so now this triangle is here, right? Red one, or let me take it as some other color, say blue color. Okay, so this is the triangle. Okay, now in this triangle, we need to find out this length, or in other words, this hypotenuse is what we need to find. So if we can find out this length and this length, we can find out the distance between these 2 points. Now we know this length, right? We know this length. What is this length? This length is nothing but the abscissa of this point, right? Or the x-axis, that is 4. So this is 4, and we know this length. This length is nothing but the abscissa of this point, that is 7. So we know this length, which is 7, and this length, which is 4. So what is this length, guys? This length is 7 minus 4. Similarly, we know the height of this point, which is the ordinate of this point. So that means we know this height. This height is given as 2, and we know the height of this. So this height is 6. So what is this height? This is 6 minus 2. Simple, right? So now in this triangle, we got one side to be 3, that is 7 minus 4, 3, and 6 minus 2, 4. Now we know we can easily apply the Pythagoras, that means 3 square plus 4 square and square root of this. So this will be 5. That means this distance is 5 units. So now you can easily say by applying this, or we can generalize this. How do you generalize this? Suppose P is x1, y1, and Q is any point in any quadrant x2, y2. Then what is the distance between P and Q? We can say square root of x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square. This is what we have done here. So here x1 is 4 and x2 is 7. So 4 minus 7, that is minus 3, and minus 3 whole square, right? So minus 3 whole square is 9, and similarly here y is 2, y1 is 2 and y2 is 6. So y1 minus y2, that means 2 minus 6, that is 4. 4 or minus 4 whole square is 16, right? And square root of this is nothing but square root of 25. So square root of 25 is 5 units, right? Now it doesn't matter if you write x1 minus x2 or you write x2 minus x1, because anything square of this is same. So this is the concept. Next thing is find the equation of the line joining P and Q. So you can also find out what is the equation of this line. That means you can express or find out the A, B and C values of the equation ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So suppose the equation of this particular line, this black line, is ax plus by plus c. Now that means if you need to find out the equation, means what? Means you need to find out the value of a, b and c. That's it. How do you find it? So in this we can easily use the slope form. That means slope form means nothing but y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, this is one more form. This is one standard form of straight line. One more standard form of straight line is, this is one. Second one is y is equal to mx plus c. This is also a standard form, right? So by using this and finding out the slope, right? So finding out the slope and all, I will be taking these topics in my sessions. Now I will just try to skip this, but I'm just giving you information so that you can have a knowledge that, okay, in this way also we can find out the equation of two lines. So given 2 points, you can find out the equation. Similarly, let's go for the next concepts. Next concept, as I already told you, that suppose if there are 3 points. So if there are 3 points, you can find out the area of the triangle formed by this. That means, let me say I have a triangle which is formed by these 3 points. Say these 3 points are A, B and C. So what is the area that I will get here? Now what is the formula of the area? Area, I know it is half into base into height. Now what is the height here, guys? If you see carefully, this is my height, right? This is my height. So if I can find this height and this base, right, I can find out the area of this. Now this is very simple. This is given as minus 3 and 0, and this is given as 7 and 0. That means this is the origin, 0, 0. So from here the abscissa is 7, and from here this is 3. So what is the total distance? This is the base of this triangle. That means AC is nothing but 7 minus 3. That means x1 minus x2. So that is nothing but 10. So this base is 10. Now this altitude. Now if you see properly, this is the perpendicular distance of this point B from x-axis, and that is nothing but the ordinate of this point. What is the ordinate of this point? 5. So this length is 5. So just we'll put the value half into 10 into 5. So this is 5 and 5 the 25 square units. So here the answer is 25 square units is the area of this triangle. Right? Simple. Similarly, we can also find out the centroid of this triangle. So centroid of the triangle formula is, suppose this is a centroid, okay? So centroid means x1 plus x2 plus x3 by 3. So you take the average of the abscissa of these 3 points and average of ordinates of all the 3 points by 3. So if you put the value here, it is minus 3 plus 4 plus 7 by 3, and what are the ordinates? 0 plus 0, that means 5 by 3. So this is the solution. right? So 7 minus 3 is 4, 4 plus 4, 8, 8 by 3 and 5 by 3, right? So 8 by 3, 5 by 3, you will get the point somewhere here. Okay guys, so this will be the centroid. Similarly, more applications are like find the perpendicular distance from point P to the straight line this. Now you might be thinking, what is the application of this? I mean, why do we need to find the perpendicular distance? Now this is an assignment, but before I give you the assignment, let me explain why this is important, how this can be helpful to you. For example, I'll give you an idea. Say this is my x-axis and y-axis. So these are my x-axis and y-axis, and this is the origin, right? Now the first thing that I give you is, suppose this is one point P1 and this is it second point P2. So I give you this is x1 and y1 and this is x2 and y2. Now you have already learned how to find out, the distance between them. Okay, now let me give you one more point. Let me give you, say, a point somewhere here. Say this is point 3 and this is x3 and y3. Now you might be thinking, what can I do with this? Now suppose I tell you that these 3 points make a triangle. These 3 points make a triangle. Now, how will you find out the area of this triangle? Yes. So to find out the area of this triangle, what do you need? You need, suppose you take this as the base. Suppose you take this, say this is P1, P2, so say this is A and this is B and this is C and this is D. So half into AB into CD. This is what you need. Now suppose you can find out the distance between these 2 points by distance formula. So you will get this easily, right? That means this distance here, that is AB, will be square root of x1 minus x2 whole square plus y1 minus y2 whole square. So from this you can easily find out this distance. How will you find this? And if you can find this, you can find the area. So for that, there is one technique. If you can find out the equation of this line, suppose there will be a line which will be going through this, which will be passing through this. So the equation of the line you can find out, right? So equation of this line can be found out by using the slope method, right? Or point method. There is one more way to find out the equation of these 2 lines, that is point method. Right, I will explain that thing later. That means, let me give you an idea. So y is equal to mx plus c, where this is the slope. And what is the slope? Slope is nothing but, say, this height by this base will give me the slope. That's it. So now, suppose I have a straight line. And now I draw a triangle here. Okay, let me draw a right angle triangle in such a way, okay, that this is the base and this is one more base. So I can draw a triangle in this way. Okay, so this triangle, if you can see here, I can find out this distance and I can easily find out this distance, because this distance will be y1 minus y2 and this distance will be x1 minus x2. Now what will be m? M will be y1 minus y2 by x1 minus x2. So in this way you will get m, and just put this value here, you will get this equation. Now you might think, how to find out c? So you know one of the point which lies in this line. So you know that this point P2 is a solution of this line. Put this value here in place of x and y, you will get the value of c. So in this way you can find out this equation, right? Once you can find out this equation, you can find out the distance of any point to this straight line. For example, now this c is one point, and you can find out this distance, right? And this is what I am giving you as an assignment. Now try to solve this and try to send it to me. So let me give you my email ID. So my email ID is mridul vedantu.ghosh@vedantu.com. Okay, so you can mail me the solution, and if you have any doubts or if you want to know something, you can also mail me, right? So this is my mail, and so I'm repeating it again, mridul.ghosh@vedantu.com. So guys, hope you have enjoyed this.